Hello, everyone. I'm Phil Svitek, and today we are talking about long story short. And when I say we, allow me to introduce.
Hi, my name is Madina. I'm Phil Svitek's girlfriend.
Yes, and so I've talked about long story short. It's an animated series out on Netflix by the creator of BoJack Horseman, Raphael Bob-Waksberg. And the show came on my radar back when I went to Odyssey, which is an animation festival. And he discussed, BoJack Horseman, Undone, and then this. And I got an episode 1 preview of it, fell in love with it, and slowly we watched the show together. And
Enjoyed it.
And kind of, we've gotten some requests to talk about it and things like that. And so here we are doing that. But first and foremost, A, how would you describe the show? B, what did you like about the show?
It's interesting because at the beginning when I started watching it, I was like, what's happening? Because I didn't read about it before. And then once I watched the second episode, I just started understanding what's happening, what it's about, why it might matter. And I think it's important maybe that we are right now recording this video because I think before start watching it, it's interesting to know why you're watching it, what it's about.
Okay, so what is it about?
So it's interesting that it's kind of about one family, but it covers so many themes like family, quality time, memory, how childhood shapes identity, and when you watch it, it's it's about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very much a family-oriented show. It's tough to describe because it jumps around, and as the title implies, it tells kind of a long story short. So even though it's 22 minutes, you get kind of a totality of a certain instance or something that created a core memory for someone and how it affected them later in life and things of that nature. And then the show itself, episode by episode, so there's 10 episodes, eventually, it jumps around and you get various perspectives. So it starts to fill out. And I think for me, that was a big component of it was this idea that we are learning about various characters from their vantage point and where we might have seen something from early on and thought about a character in a negative light. Once we see their story and why those certain things have caused them to be that way, then we're afforded a little bit more sympathy. And not that it's a Rashomon sort of story where we get the same event from different angles. We just get a character in different ways, in different situations. So for the most part, it never repeats. But what I also love is that, again, certain things that you might have heard early on eventually pay off and you start to get that. And so what I'd like to do is get into the spoiler section of all of this. So that's our thoughts with the non-spoiler stuff, but you have been now warned. We're going to dive into all 10 episodes, and we assume that you've seen them, and if you haven't, you've been warned. So number 1, so you mentioned you see yourself in it. Which character did you relate to most?
So first of all, we need to tell about characters overall, right? So there are 2 mom and dad parents. Mom's name Naomi, dad's name Elliot, and 3 siblings: Abbi, Shira, and Yoshi. And I think I like Abbi more. I don't know why, because probably he's the eldest one.
Okay.
And I'm from a family where I'm the eldest one too, and I have 2 siblings. And I feel him because he has kind of the same issues, problems like I had when I was a child and lived with my sisters.
Yeah, so for me, this season at least is very much about Avi, because even though I mentioned we jump around in various characters, we open up with Avi, and I think by the end, for me, and let me know if you disagree, he has an arc, right? Episode 1 is really, he's nervous about Jen, his girlfriend, meeting his mom, and it turns into a big sort of kind of a disaster, right? And that's always been at the forefront for Avi, is just his mom is overbearing. But then, especially with the last 2 episodes, he really starts to appreciate his mom more in a different way. And it's interesting, we never see the funeral of the mom. We just see in the penultimate episode, we see a celebration of her, right?
Yes.
And so it's almost like a funeral, except she gets to be a part of it. And then we get the aftermath of him not having the mom, and then finally coming together, and he's like, okay, you know what, mom's different than what I expected, and by accepting his Judaism and allowing Hannah, his daughter, to have a bar mitzvah, then it's like he accepts his mom, and that's his arc. So that's the way I took it.
Yes.
But
it's interesting that the first, just think about right now, the first episode started with, the first scene of episode first, like of Yoshi's bar mitzvah, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Like a coming of age event. And at the end, Avi's daughter, like considering that she wants it too, It's interesting. So it's kind of like, the episode first is interesting because at the beginning, it shows Yoshi's bar mitzvah. He's like kind of chaotic, like sweet at the same time, an awkward boy. And later we see how Avi introduces his girlfriend to his mom. And it's interesting because it shows like family roles breaking down. Mm-hmm. So she can't be anymore so caring because Avi is a grown-up adult, and it's interesting to see. Yeah,
I mean, I think something that Raphael talked about at Honesty was this is very much about lowercase t traumas, right? Yeah. And to me, it's most encapsulated in the Naomi episode, where as a child, she learns to ride a bike by herself without training wheels, and she's so excited to tell her family, mm-hmm. but no one's paying attention to her.
Yeah.
And so in order to get the attention, she fakes an injury or she hurts herself on purpose. Then everyone rushes to her. And when she has their full attention, she's like, by the way, I learned to ride a bike.
Yes.
So you could see that like that is the crux of her entire personality throughout the whole thing. And that's just, and again, a very simple example of this, nothing truly negative happened to her. It's not like any of her, her parents or her siblings were trying to cause her harm.
Yes.
But it had a certain effect on her. And then obviously the rest of the series, the episodes that we've seen is an exploration of, okay, the things that Avi has done, how it's affected Shira or Yoshi, or like how we don't intend to harm the people we love the most.
Yes.
And yet we do. Unfortunately, right? So that's what resonated with me the most.
Yeah, it was for me the same. That it focuses less on major life-changing like events, but more like little traumas, small events, and which like kind of shapes us while we're growing up, and like shape us in the long term. And it's very important, and that's why it's an interesting show.
Yeah, and I love that we also got other characters in there as well, right? So Shira's wife eventually, we get that, and we revisit these things. So like they, being a lesbian couple, obviously they want to have a baby, but they can't like do it just themselves. So Shira musters up the courage to ask Avi, and then he kind of declines, but then Yoshi gets asked, and later on we fill that loop where Yoshi, it's now time for him to do the deed, mm-hmm. and yet he messes up, which then also introduces Baby, which Shira's best friend.
Yeah.
And then later on, we understand why Shira has such a negative viewpoint of Baby and all this. So I just love how it opens up questions we didn't even know that we want answers to. And then when we get the answer, we're like, oh.
Yeah.
And you joke, but a Schwoop is entitled.
Yes, it's true. So theme of little moments, traumas. I mean, how it's important later. And
Which one stood out to you the most? Like which one? So you said you resonated with Avi the most, but you can pick any of the other characters. Like what sort of specific incident you were like, oh, that makes sense, or it affected you.
About Avi, it
doesn't have to be about Avi. It could be about any of the characters. But
but like, okay, as I started talking about Avi, so how his relationship with his daughter, and and it helped this conversation with his daughters, situations different, helped him to understand his mom, because he became a parent as well.
No.
And now he can see why his mom did this and didn't do that, now he got answers.
Yeah. And, for me, I don't know, this just popped into my mind, but when Shira's making, I forget what the exact food is, but she keeps trying to make it, but it's not exactly the same as her mom would make it, right? And then finally she gets the recipe from Jen, and whatnot. And then she sees that on the paper of hey, add more garlic because that's what Shira likes, right? And so her mom's recipe is the best because it's not that she was just making any sort of recipe. She was literally catering to Shira. And then, of course, it's just to me, it was such a fun episode in general because, of course, in the backdrop of this, they're trying to get into a certain privileged school and whatnot. So they're putting on this whole thing. And then in the end, it doesn't even matter. She's like, wait, they don't even mask up here. We're done here. So it's it's just a nice tagline to the whole bit.
Yeah. And for me, it's important. And about this episode, I cried when I watched, because it's about love. And he got it at the end. Why it was so good, because her mom really loved her, and just
I mean, we think these certain things and whatever else, and because again, part of the humor in the bit was that it's a hard recipe, it's annoying, it takes time, and it's well, why would mom do these things? It's well, she put herself through the pain because that's how she showed her love to her, in this case, Shira, right?
Right, because she thought that the key is the recipe, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of reality versus expectation. So she expected that, oh, it's good because mom knew some kind of very good recipe. But at the end, she realized that she loves garlic because she added garlic. That's why it's so good.
And I also love that there's this side where we get the various generations, right?
Yeah.
We spend the least time with Naomi's parents and whatever else, but obviously we get Naomi and Elliot, as you mentioned, then we get the three siblings, and then we get Hannah. So it's three generations and how their relationships work and how it's affecting them and things like that. And I think it's just a wonderful exploration ultimately across that. You know what I mean?
Yes. And after watching this series, I was like, oh, yeah, I even better understand my parents right now, because it highlighted some things for me, and that's why it's important. That's why
to highlight. Be specific. Then you don't have to talk about your parents, but in terms of the show, what stood out that made you have that?
So, like I told before, family roles breaking down, because changing, you growing up, and parents can't adjust sometimes. They want to be like a caring parent. They wanna keep the same role, and when I was in my 20s, I was like, why they like caring so much? I didn't understand that, and I had so many.
You were leaving,
right?
No longer in the house.
And now I understand my parents. It was kind of stress for them, Yeah.
Well, shifting gears, for me at least, I have to be a little bit honest. There was one episode that I didn't love, which was the one with Shira's wife working at sort of the arcade thing and whatever else. And I appreciate it because I related to it a lot, right? Where this corporate life pushes you in a direction that you don't want, and the things that you actually loved about a certain job are being like pushed out of you and changed into a different way, and they're essentially taking advantage of her in many ways and all that stuff. And then she it was sweet that we understand why she found her way to Judaism as this thing, but admittedly, I don't know. I can't like point to exactly because there's nothing about the execution or whatever. It just wasn't as strong of an episode for me, unfortunately. Maybe because too many battle scars for me, and I related too much. So maybe just by that alone is like why I was like, I don't want to watch this.
And also, it's interesting to watch, and you waiting for the next episode because everything changes so fast. So first, like we see, like small siblings, like kind of one problem, but next episode, like third episode, like their mom Naomi passed away, and it's interesting because like everything like they show everything. It's not like about the story itself, right? But at the same time, you're interested in like how it goes and changes so fast.
Yeah. Well, we could of course keep talking about so many different aspects, but I do want to definitely talk about the animation style because it's a little bit different, right? And like I even think to in crowd scenes, right? At like Yoshi's bat mitzvah, there's various characters that are given a little bit more detail, and it's like, oh, those are the ones we're supposed to focus on. And then there's the background characters of like, hey, we're just gonna like draw them with a cup in their hand, and they're not gonna move and whatever else, and you get it. So I'm curious because yeah, I mean, obviously it's a simplistic style, but not one that we've seen, I think, ever. Correct me, viewers, listeners, if I'm wrong, but overall, it's effective. At least it was for me. So,
yeah, I liked it. It's interesting idea.
Yeah. What did you? What made you like it overall? How would you describe it? What drew you to it? Pun intended.
I'd say that for me, it was the first time I saw like that the story jumping from one event to another, from one moment to another. And it's evolving because like, wow, what happened? It changed so fast. I need to know like what's next,
Yeah, I mean, I think just obviously animation wise, it allowed them to tell all these different stories. Not that you couldn't do a live action, but it's, you would have to have so many different actors playing the various roles of the different ages. And, that can fall apart at any moment if you don't cast the right actor. And so the fact that we had a consistency of the actor via the voice and just the animation changes, I think that works to its strength. And then I think visually you could tell a lot of humor, right? There's the one episode where like trucks crash. This is the Yoshi like mattress episode, and trucks end up crashing into each other. And like one's a bread truck, and then you have like the cheese, the vegetable. It makes like a sandwich, a crash sandwich.
It was hilarious.
So let's talk about the humor, because it's, I mean, obviously you and I both laughed throughout.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's other humor that was over our heads, you know, and whatever else. But I appreciate that it has the gumption to just go for it. And it's like, listen, you might get the joke, you might not, but we're going to tell some really smart humor regardless.
Right. So, you might expect for sure, like this is adult cartoon and there is a lot of sarcasm and chaos. And I love this part as well, but it's not humor only. It's also what I liked and it really resonated because I cried a lot. I was so happy for them and everything, so many emotions, because it's also about warmth, right? Mm-hmm. And emotions, life. And that's why it makes it so unique, because it's not only about humor.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Yeah, it has that sort of full range, and I they call it like gallows humor, where you take something very dark and make light of it, and that's how sometimes we all need that. So I truly appreciate it. Obviously, we can talk about so many different things, but as we wrap out, I want to give you, anything that you want to touch upon that whether resonated with you or you want to point out, whatever it is. Would love to just get your final thoughts.
So the main idea, after I was so upset that we this week watched the last episode, and
simply because there's not more to watch, not because we're done with it.
Yeah, but the season 2 coming, right? Soon?
Season 2 has been announced. We don't know when it's coming, but it is official. Yeah. So that's always good.
And it's interesting, I read that they even started working on it, or maybe working on probably before even they finished the first season. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It becomes so popular, right?
Yeah, I think, and we were talking about this off air of, it's not just about a Jewish family. I mean, and in storytelling, there's the idiom of, the more specific you make something, the more universal it becomes, right? It's a paradox. And the more universal you try to be, no one's going to latch onto it. So I think that resonates for sure.
Yeah. And so the main idea, that ever felt like you are still that kid you were, but when even your adult life is a different one, but when you watching it, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm still kid. And I still, even time passed, I still have these problems. And I want to understand it even better, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a great show. It moves a million miles an hour. I love the scenes with the whole family there and arguing, and you pick up on one thing and someone's responding to a completely different thing. But then, I just love that style of writing because it's so true to life.
Yeah.
Right? So I love
it's
that.
A total chaos.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, we just wanted to, overview various reactions and thoughts to the whole season 1. But by all means, it's not a complete list. So we encourage you to comment down below. Let us know what you're thinking, and would love to just kind of continue the conversation there. But thank you for taking the time to tune in. It truly means a lot to us.
Thank you.
This is our first dissection, and I'm honored that we got to do Long Story Short. And let us know what you're watching as well. Maybe we'll do some future ones as well. So thank you.